Hey, citizens. Imagine you order a package online and the tracking app says the package has been delivered. Then you walk out your front door, the package is sitting exactly right there where it's supposed to be sitting. You grab it, you bring it inside, and you open it up, and it's empty. That, citizens, that is exactly what just happened with fish oil and your brain. Citizens, here's exactly what your brain needs to know this week right here. This week, June 18th, 2026, a major NIH-funded trial from the University of Southern California published its final results in the medical journal of eBioMedicine. This trial had been running for 8 years. It was specifically designed to answer just one question, a question the supplement industry has been telling citizens for 30 years that it already knew the answer to. Now, here's the question. Does taking high-dose fish oil, the kind sold in every drugstore and supermarket in America, actually protect your brain from Alzheimer's? And the answer just came in. And it's not the answer that the fish oil aisle wants you to hear. The fish oil works. It reaches your brain. The researchers proved that with spinal fluid measurements. Decisive, unambiguous. And it still doesn't save your memory. Not after 6 months, not after 1 year, not after 2 years. Now, let me give you the numbers because they matter. 365 adults, all between the ages of 55 and 80 years old, all eating very little fish to start with, all carrying at least one risk factor for dementia. About half of them, 47%, carried a gene called the APOE4 gene, the strongest genetic risk factor we know of for late life Alzheimer's. They were randomly assigned to two groups. Half got 2,000 milligrams of DHA, the brain active part of fish oil, every single day. They got this DHA every single day. The other half got a placebo, a dummy capsule. This went on for 2 years. Half of them also had spinal fluid taps, so the researchers could measure exactly what was reaching the brain. This was an intense study. Now, here's what they found. The fish oil group's brain DHA went up by 17%. The placebo groups didn't budge. Now, statistically, about as clean a result as you can get in a medical research. The package arrived, and then they tested memory, thinking. They scanned the brains for shrinkage in the hippocampus, and the hippocampus is the brain's memory center. They scanned it, nothing. The DHA group did no better than the placebo group on any cognitive test. The brain scan showed no protection. The hippocampus, the part of the brain that shrinks as Alzheimer's takes hold, shrank exactly the same amount in both groups. There was no difference. The package arrived, but the box was empty. Now, I want to talk about who this trial was built for, because that matters. About 1 in 4 citizens of European descent carries a gene called APOE4. That's European descent carrying a gene called APOE4. Now, about 1 in 50 carries 2 copies of it. A single copy version raises Alzheimer's risk meaningfully. The double copy version raises it dramatically. Now, most citizens with this gene don't know they have it. They've never been tested. This USC trial was specifically designed around the APOE4 carriers. About half of the participants carried the gene, half didn't. The researchers were asking a precise question. Does the brain of an APOE4 carrier handle fish oil differently? Because earlier research had hinted that APOE4 carriers might be burning through omega-3s faster, that maybe their brains weren't receiving the fish oil as well. If that was true, if APOE4 carriers needed a bigger dose to get the same brain delivery, then high-dose fish oil might still have a chance. But here's what the trial actually showed. There was no difference. The DHA reached the brains of the APOE4 carriers just as well as it reached the brains of non-carriers. So the supplement industry's last reasonable defense, the one that said The dose was too low for these high-risk citizens. The defense just collapsed. Now, I want to be honest with you about something. This trial is not the first time researchers have tested omega-3 fish oil for brain protection. It's not the second time. It's not the third time. In the past 25 years, researchers have run 24 randomized controlled trials of omega-3 supplements in adults without dementia. Citizens, listen to this number. 5 of the 24 showed any cognitive benefit. 5. That is a 21% hit rate. For a category of supplements, Americans spend more than $1 billion on every single year. Let me read you the names of some of those trials, just so you understand that we're not making this up. Vital, 25,000 adults, no cognitive benefits. ARIDS, 2, 3,500 adults, no benefit. MAPT, 3 years, French trial, no benefit. Omega D, 174 patients with mild Alzheimer's, no benefit. Lipid diet, 24-month multi-nutrient intervention in prodromal Alzheimer's, did not meet its primary endpoint. The pattern, citizens, has been clear for years. Now, the USC trial we're talking about today is the most rigorous test yet. It's one of the most rigorous tests of the supplement industry's single most repeated excuse. The trial used too small of a dose. The omega-3 never reached the brain. This trial used a high dose. Omega-3 reached the brain and it still didn't work. That excuse is gone. It's been wiped away. Now, citizens, let's follow the money. Americans spend more than $1 billion every year on fish oil. Most of that sold to us for one specific reason. One, our brain. How is that possible? How is it possible to sell a product to millions of citizens year after year for a benefit that 79% of randomized trials say doesn't exist? The answer is a law from 1994. It's called the DSHEA, DSHEA, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. Under that law, the FDA does not approve supplements before they hit the shelf. The company that doesn't have to prove the pill works, not before they sell it to you, not before they put a picture of a brain on the bottle, not before they charge you $29.99. That is the system. That is not the citizens being gullible. That is a 1994 law designed to sell first and answer questions later. And here's what happens when the system actually tries to catch up. In 2017, almost 10 years ago now, 10 years ago, the Federal Trade Commission and the New York Attorney General filed a lawsuit. They filed a lawsuit against the makers of a memory supplement called Prevagen. Now, according to the legal complaint, Prevagen has sold $165 million worth of product. $165 million worth of product to American citizens. This happened between 2007 and 2015. They sold it based on memory claims the FTC said were deceptive. The case went to court, to a jury, to appeals, and it was finally decided in December of 2024, 7 years of litigation, to stop the marketing of one memory supplement. One. That is the system, citizens, that we are up against. A 1994 law that required no proof, an enforcement system that takes a decade to catch up to one bad actor, an industry that earns over $1 billion a year, much of it on a brain benefit that this week just got its last excuse taken away. This is not citizens making bad choices. This is a system that profits when citizens are afraid, when they're afraid of losing their mind. A system that has had decades and decades to prove these pills work. It hasn't, it can't, and it doesn't have to. That's the truth. And that is the truth that they don't put on the bottle. Citizens, I got a quick pause here. If this is the kind of truth you came here for, I want you to hit subscribe, because every week we come back to this place and with one job. We come back to you with one job: your brain, your money, your life. And we don't ask the industry for permission to tell you the truth either. Subscribers get every episode, every Bridget segment, every me segment, every fact check. You get it first. Subscribe, stay in the nation. Now, the industry never respected us. We are customers to them. Numbers on a spreadsheet. But right here, we're building a nation. And in this nation, citizens get the truth. Now, citizens, some of you are watching this and thinking, okay, Sean, the pill doesn't work. So what now? Here's what the evidence actually says that you should do. In 2024, the Lancet, one of the most respected medical journals in the world, they published a major report on dementia prevention. It's the most authoritative document of its kind. The headline finding, around 45% of dementia cases, almost half, are potentially preventable by addressing 14 specific things in your life. 14. Let me read these 14 to you right now, because you deserve to know what the evidence actually supports. Less education early in life, hearing loss, high blood pressure, smoking, obesity, depression, physical inactivity, diabetes, excessive alcohol, traumatic brain injury, air pollution, social isolation. And in 2024, the Lancet added 2 more: vision loss and high LDL cholesterol. 14 things, citizens. Some you can change, some you can treat, some you can advocate for in your community. Notice what's not on that list: fish oil. The Lancet doesn't have a fish oil aisle. And finally, I want to read you something from Dr. Hussein Yassin. He's the lead researcher on this USC trial, the man who just spent 8 years and millions of dollars testing whether fish oil could prevent Alzheimer's or not. Here's what he said this week on the day his trial was published. And this is a verbatim quote: "Staying healthy throughout life remains the most powerful tool we have for reducing Alzheimer's risk, including regular exercise, quality sleep, and a balanced diet." That's the man who tested the pill, telling you the answer isn't the pill. The answer is in your life. Citizens, before you go, if something in this hour landed for you, I want you to subscribe. We saved you a seat in the nation, and we'll be right here next week doing the same job, the same work: your brain, your money, your life. Because we don't age quietly. No, those days are over. We age wealthily. Take care of your brain, people.